Hi everyone, this is Film Talk and my name is Anton Isyukov. I'm a cultural journalist. I'm writing about films, mainly about queer films, but in general I watch a lot of movies, I talk with filmmakers. This is what we are going to do today, talk about films that are really important for us and probably for you too if you're watching this video. Next to me is Erik Stolberg. Could you introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm a film buff. I like to watch movies, I like to talk about movies. I like to discuss them and in some parts also analyze them.
Oh, yes.
And that's why I'm here today.
We will analyze a lot and we'll hear opinions and we kind of like represent maybe different generations and maybe like we have different tastes in films, so it's going to be interesting. I believe in that. But before I will introduce the film of today's episode, I just want to share some research that I did earlier, and this is what I found. Every week all over the world in the cinemas, there are like around 180 films being released, and it's quite a lot. I don't promise that it's exact amount, but something like that in average. And it shows the scale. Some of the movies get a lot of attention, a lot of press, social media, and so on and so forth. And some of them just pass almost unnoticed. But only a few of them have this true impact that stays with audience and stays in the history of cinema. And here on Film Talk, we're going to talk not exactly about the latest premieres, but about the real gems, the movies that changed us and maybe changed the world. It's going to be a personal conversation, but grounded on facts and histories. And so the movie of today.
Yeah, we're going to discuss The Piano from 1993. By Jane Campion.
Absolute classic. Very famous movie and very interesting because also there are so many great movies that do not age well and some themes and representations that earlier felt modern and actual might really age like milk and not to be kind of not as progressive and maybe problematic today. So what I think is just that we need to look at them critically, and then we can understand the context when the films were made in, and how our perspective evolved from that time. So we appreciate these gems, but also question them. All right. Let's be done with this long introduction. But remember, it's our pilot episode. Let's talk The Piano. Could you start with
it's set in the 1850s in New Zealand, most of the movie. And in New Zealand, this was a period of colonization where people from Britain colonized New Zealand. It was 10 years after the so-called Waitangi Treaty, which ended a long war of internal fighting between Maori tribes. Maori is the indigenous people in New Zealand who lived there for approximately 500 years before colonizers from Europe came. And they had intense internal battles in the 19th century. During that period of time, Europeans were also there to colonize and also supply Maori tribes with muskets, which changed their warfare dramatically. And the tribes that could acquire muskets did get a huge advantage over other tribes. So it is in this context that the movie is set.
Yeah, and it's good to know this context because we kind of don't get that in the actual film because we get a very how would I say, like a story of a particular family mainly. So that's an important information, and it's also important to know that Jane Campion is from New Zealand. So this is very personal in this way for her, but in many other ways that we will discuss later.
It's true. I agree that the time period is not. It's not like a historical film in that context, that it wants to present the history of New Zealand. But what we can see in the film is that it is during a fairly calm time. There are not a lot of battles, and there are not a lot of fighting between Maoris internally, or not between colonizers and Maori either. So we can note that this is after the Waitangi Treaty in 1840, which basically ended a long war, which is called the Musket Wars, because of the muskets that was supplied by Europeans for the Maori tribes. So the Musket Wars were not fighting between colonizers and Maori tribes. That it was an internal fight between Maori that actually killed up to maybe 40% of the Maori population of the islands. So it was had a huge impact on the Maori tribes. Then it was significantly calmer period, and it's during this time that we enter this story that begins with, we're first presented with Ada, this woman.
Ada McGrath, a Scottish woman that arrives to meet her future husband. She arrives with her daughter Flora.
Could be they can't get through to you in this weather. Do you have things for shelter?
She says thank you.
Yeah, what we see from the beginning, I think we get some information, but we also get a huge amount of questions. We have this woman who doesn't speak. We get to learn that she refused, or she stopped speaking.
That's all we know. And,
when she was 6 years old, she stopped speaking, and that alone makes her very unusual. We only have this voiceover right in the beginning, where she tells us that she doesn't see herself as mute, because she plays the piano and she expresses herself through the piano. But to most of the rest of the world, she would seem like a mute, and that would make her very... The very unusual thing is that it seems like she has stopped talking when she was 6 years old, and that this was a decision of some sort that she made, conscious or unconscious. It was not like she couldn't speak, it's just that she stopped.
We really are so curious why she doesn't want or can't talk to others, and but it's not the only question we get at the beginning.
No, it's not the only question. We also get to know that she has a daughter.
Yes.
And she seems to be... her husband seems to be absent from her life for some reason, which we wonder, has there been some sort of a scandal that has caused her to be now on her own with her daughter? Has he died? Why? What has happened? Because she seems to be forced, so to speak, into a rather unusual decision. She will move to a new husband all around the world.
She has a lot of belongings with her.
She has.
Yes, which will be left on the beach with them, which is also quite an unusual, I don't know, beginning the story when they sleep on this beach, because no one just arrived to meet them.
The arrival in New Zealand, it doesn't start off well. We could easily say that. What is interesting, I think, is that Stuart, who is the husband-to-be, who is going to meet her in New Zealand, he somehow looks forward to this. He combs his hair to meet her, and he has his photograph. So he's full of expectations when she arrives. But the arrival doesn't go as planned. She seems kind of uninterested in him and rather cold, and keeps to herself and her daughter pretty much, and there is no warmth between them.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not a warm welcome.